Okay, we're here to talk about power, how to generate it and how to deliver it to your target. First, you want to start in a nice low stance like this. You want to get up off your back heel. You want to have a very low stance and very solid. The most important thing is you want a very stable position. There once was somebody who told me, don't shoot a cannon from a canoe. And what he was trying to say by that was, you don't want to shoot a cannon from a canoe because the canoe would get pushed back. In the same aspect, you don't want to punch somebody from a stance where your knees are bent, maybe my weight's not distributed correctly, because it's going to end up pushing me away from the target as much as I would get the punch to deliver any type of power. So I want to come in a very stable position from which to throw my punch. Another important factor is the timing. Now when I say timing, I'm talking about the timing of the individual body parts. Your body is a linked system, just like a whip is a linked system. And we're going to use a whip to talk about how to generate power. So if you think about a whip, you start with a big handle like this. The next link is a little bit smaller. The next link after that is smaller. And it works its way all the way down through all the successive links till you get to the little piece of leather at the end. When you bring the handle of the whip across, you got to stop it suddenly. And what will happen is it will give its momentum to the next link. Now the next link in the chain is of less mass, so it's going to increase in velocity in order to maintain the momentum. So generally one of the rules of momentum is you can't create or destroy momentum. So if you're going to take out some of the mass in the equation, the next link is going to actually have to accelerate in order to conserve the momentum. So the same thing's true when I'm working my body. You can think of the bones of my body forming a linked system. So when I start my punch, I want to concentrate on the timing or the order in which I move my body parts. It's going to start in the lower body and I'll turn the hips. Now when I turn the hips, it's not just turning the hips, it's turning the hips abruptly. And when I turn those hips, I want them to stop abruptly also. I don't want them to come across and kind of break slowly to a halt. I want them to stop abruptly. That's how I'm going to deliver my momentum to the next link, which is my shoulders. As I bring my shoulders around, they're going to stop suddenly also, and from there, my hands are just going to fly out. When I generate a lot of power, my hands moving at an incredible rate of speed. You can also think about the way someone pitches a ball. When a pitcher throws a pitch, he winds his whole body into it, and by the time he releases that ball, a fastball, it's going between 80 and 100 miles per hour, at least a major league pitcher. Your muscles don't contract at that rate. I can't contract my muscles so fast as to generate the ball going 100 miles an hour. The way I have to do that is I have to conserve momentum and give it to the next link and speed it up that way. So the same thing with a punch. I want that body to come around and I want it to stop suddenly and my hands are just going to fly off my back. So there's not very much musculature involved in delivering the punch. I'm going to come in here, pow! Okay? But if you think about the arms that extend, your tricep and your chest muscle, they're not even going to be engaged at that point. You are just throwing your punch at the person. Now we were talking about a whip earlier, and part of snapping a whip is to jerk the handle. So when I bring that handle of the whip across, I have to stop it suddenly. When I stop it suddenly, that's when it gives its momentum to the next link in the chain. So stopping abruptly is also very important. We talked about the hips coming around and stopping abruptly. But more than that, you're going to have to use the muscles in your body that actually contract and keep your arm from extending all the way. That's going to be your bicep and your lats. So it would seem as if we're going to use the tricep and the chest like we do on a bench press, but those are not the punches, those are not the muscles that are going to be engaged in a punch. It's going to be more the lat and the bicep, which are going to snap your hand back. That's how you generate power, and that's how you deliver it. Now, a little bit more than that, what target we're hitting is also going to determine how we generate power and how we deliver it. When you hit to the head is a lot different than hitting to the body. When you hit to the head, you want to snap your shot. One of the reasons why you want to snap your shot is because you want to give your energy immediately to the target. You don't want to have your hand in contact with the head for any length of time. You want to be just very briefly in contact with the target. Now, as opposed to the body, when you hit the body, you're going to have to dig a little bit. We often hear boxers in the corner coaching a fighter saying you want to dig your shots. That's because here, the body's going to be a little bit different. The body's going to give a little bit before it accepts your energy. So you dig your shot like that. There you are going to use a little bit more musculature. Then you're going to have to engage your muscles and drive once you make contact. Again, let's go back and talk about hitting the head. When you hit the head and you're snapping your shots, think about like cue ball. Think about a cue ball and a billiard ball. When one hits the other, they're very elastic collisions. That means the cue ball does not want to give up its shape and the billiard ball does not want to give up its shape. So they impart their energy in a very quick rate. Your knuckles are very hard and the person's head is very hard. So when you hit it, it's going to impart its energy very quickly. Or it has a high impulse. It's going to give it very quickly to the target. Now, when you hit to the body is not quite as hard. It's not as elastic. It's more inelastic. That means it's going to give up its shape a little bit more readily. So as I hit to the body like this, the body is going to expand or distort before it starts to accept my energy. So that's why I dig. Once I make contact, I'm actually going to drive through that target a little bit. So when I'm hitting the head, I'm delivering my energy over a very short distance, about that far. So all my power is concentrated over a very short distance at a very quick rate, has a high degree of impulse. When I'm hitting the body, it's going to go over a slightly larger amount of distance, probably something like this. And there I'm going to drive. So the way I deliver power to the head and the way I deliver power to the body is a little bit different. I think sometimes people who are attacking the body really strong are known as punchers, and people who can snap to the head really well are known as boxers. If you can end up being both, you'll probably be more of a complete fighter. But the way you want to punch the head is with snappy punches, right? And you want to snap them and you want to crack them the same way you crack the handle of a whip. When you dig to the body, that's going to be a little bit more musculature. Now, we were talking before in the beginning about timing. Now, sometimes we use the word timing to mean judgment. Okay, that fighter has good timing. He's able to judge when to hit and when not to hit, when to step and when not to step, or when to punch and when not to punch. But timing also means the order in which the body parts move. Now, the body parts, again, we're reviewing a little bit what we went over. You're going to move that body from the lower part first. You want to move the body, and then the shoulders, and then the hands are the last thing that moves. And I want you to feel like you're throwing it off of your body. I want you to feel like you're throwing your punch. I can give you another example. When you're driving your car and you accelerate to a certain speed and then you put the brakes on suddenly, a lot of times something on the back seat will fly forward. This is the same way you're giving energy to your hand. You can think of your body as the vehicle, right? You're accelerating and then you stop suddenly, you put the brakes on. And when you put the brakes on, the hand flies out. Okay? So again, you're throwing your punch. And you're throwing your punch with your back. Keep your hips rolled back a little bit this way, have good leverage. Make sure you're up on the ball of your foot, ready to explode. Now this is why we were going to talk later about exercises you can do to enhance your boxing potential. I don't think that doing a lot of weightlifting is going to make you punch harder because it makes you stronger. I think that what happens is it's just a good exercise, it's good therapy, it's good cross-training. The exercises that are going to help you punch harder are the ones that are going to address more your core and your legs. So doing things like sit-ups and back extensions and rotating exercises, along with things like squats, are going to affect your punch much more than doing something like a bench press or a row. This is how you generate power. It's all about timing. It's about the order in which your body parts move, and more importantly, the order in which your body parts stop. So you want to learn to jerk that body to a stop the same way you jerk the handle of a whip to a stop. As you can see, in order to have a knockout punch, it's more about coordination between the body parts, and it's more about stopping your body. It's not about the muscular strength that you would use like doing a bench press. It is muscular strength, but it starts lower in the core. By the time it gets up to your hand, there's almost no muscle involved at all, except for the muscles to stop your action. So you want to be able to whip or jerk your movements. You want to bang, jerk your body to a halt and let your hand fly off. That's how you're going to generate the power into the hand and then eventually into the target.